Yay!
Good evening, dear Toastmasters and most welcome guests. Like Meredith told us before, today is the first day of school, and for me is the first day of my MBA program.
Whoa!
So we started with the leadership lesson today, and during the whole day we started leadership. And at the end of this course, I need to create a live multimedia journal about leadership. And I decided why not to start with my club, Toastmasters, which is called Vancouver Speakers and Leaders.
Yeah!
The best place ever to start. And during this day, we learned a lot about leadership. And I decided just to remind us, because all of us are leaders, that's why we are here, who is a leader and who is not a leader, and what to do next with this knowledge. So before I start to explain who the leader is, I'd like to ask you, who is not a leader? Any thoughts?
A boss.
Yeah.
A boss is not a leader.
Was dictator is not a leader, true.
Yeah.
The other ideas?
A sheep, someone who chooses not to grow and learn.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, but you can't inspire anyone else.
Yeah, very true.
Somebody feel they have nothing to offer.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah.
Someone who can't communicate themselves very well.
True. So today, the first part of our lesson, we dedicated to know who is not a leader. And we wrote a bunch of lists on our blackboard. But most of them you already told, but I'm going to tell what you didn't mention. So the leader is not a manager. There is a position of leader, a position of manager. And sometimes it's the same person, but sometimes there are two different people. So the main difference thing is leadership is about influencing people to follow, while management focuses only on maintaining systems and processes. A manager can maintain direction, but they can't change it. Managers just follow the direction. But leader is a person who creates direction. The main difference. The second important thing is a pioneerness. Sometimes people think that person who like to discover things and who like to be the first in everything is a leader, but it's not always true as well. Well, let's remember Edmund Hillary, the person who first climbed Mount Everest, and everybody thinks that he is a leader. But actually he was just a part of the expedition, and Edmund Grant was the person who actually led this expedition. And also Edmund Hillary went to South Pole in 1958 and the other part of the Earth, and he was very famous, but every time he was just a part of the team. Just because he had this courage and passion to be the first, doesn't mean that he's a leader. And I think the third most important thing is that a title doesn't make you a leader. I think in the corporation and company history, this is the most important thing. Sometimes you get a position like CEO, or director, or chief of the department, but the actual leader is the other person. I have my personal experience. I became a chief of water recycling plant when I was just 22 years old. I just started to work in this company. I got this position, and when I started to speak, I understood, yes, people respect me, people listen to me, but I'm not a leader yet, of course. I just started to work. It will make me leader so fast. So I started to think, who is actually a leader, because the corporation can't exist without leaders. And I looked at the people and understood that the true leader is a person who's been working in this company for 45 years and knows everything just with his blind eyes. You had a situation at the power plant that suddenly appeared without electricity, and it was night, everything was in the darkness, and it was 35,000 voltage. So if you just touch something wrong, you will die and probably a couple of kilometers will burn. And so I was a chief and I had to manage the situation, and I called to a crew to save us. But this guy, his name was Pasha, he told, don't worry, I'll fix it. and he just went inside the darkness, and I heard that he did something. It was sort of darkness, just bam, 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 bam. The light is here.
Oh.
Been working for 45 years, he doesn't need a light. He knows everything.
Wow.
He can just close his eyes and he will do everything. He is a true leader. And I understood that people will listen to me only if I tell this person, Pasha, what to do. And if I can influence him, he will influence people. This is how it works. So now let's move to the other part. Leadership. Who is the true leader? Any ideas? So we discovered who is not a leader.
Depends on who you say you're going to lead, right?
Yeah.
The true leader is who his people say is the true leader. They appoint a leader. People appoint a leader every time.
Yeah.
Somebody who speaks up just becomes a leader.
Yes. So I wrote in my book that leader is a person who doesn't need a leverage to influence other people. Like in a corporation, sometimes we can scare people just to make them listen to us, just cut their wages or punish them somehow. But what about a profit organization, like volunteer organization? Those masters, Vancouver speakers and leaders. Nobody has salary, nobody has growth point, or just we all here are volunteers. Well, how to manage people like this? Only true leaders, like our president, Eric, doesn't need a leverage to manage this club. So Eric is a true leader. Real example.
Yay! He is an amazing man.
The other point, leader is a person who set up long-term goals, not short-term goals. Like manager can encourage people, but leader is person who changes people. Leader encourage not decision, but development. And leader set up not calendar issue, but cultural issue. So leader has a long-term vision. The next point is leaders are always learners. You can't become leader in one day. Even if you have like natural ability, you need to develop it day by day. Yesterday I read a quote and I really like it. Champions don't become champions in the ring. They are merely recognized there. So the same with leadership. You can't be a leader just if you come here, stay and start to teach people what to do. You need to develop this skill every single day and catch all opportunities to practice what we're doing here, Toastmasters. And in my opinion, the last thing, see the whole forest instead of small leaves and navigate your people through this forest. No navigation and true planning. I told this story 1 year ago. This is my favorite story about Amundsen and Scott expedition to the South Pole. Two totally different expeditions.
Yes.
One goal, but two different results.
Uh-huh.
So the first, I will tell a story about success. Amundsen was a Norwegian guy who decided to be the first who reached the South Pole. So he organized his expedition, and before his team ever set off, he painstakingly planned his trip. He went to Canada, to Northern Territories, and took all experience from northern people, how can they survive in a cold weather, what they do, how they walk to the long distances. He created some training expedition to the, I believe, Northern Pole. And he planned all details. He planned how many people he will take. He decided to take dogs instead of horses, just less equipment. He hired the best people who can create winter clothes. He planned food, he planned water. He planned the trip, he planned how many kilometers they have to go every day. And he took dogs, and so the most effort was on dogs. People just follow dogs and they weren't so tired. Scott was the opposite. And sometimes I remind myself, Scott, so I remember this story and I repeat it to myself again and again.
No.
Sometimes I am a little bit hectic and I just decide something in the last moment, but then I remember about Scott. I shouldn't be like that.
Oh yeah.
Because Scott decided to do everything fast. He wanted to be the first, so he just built a team and took horses and the most modern equipment. Like he believed it will be fast to go on snow. And at the very last moment he took one extra person. They had food and water just for a certain amount of people to the north, and very last day he took the extra person. Reckless. So they went to the South Pole, and in 5 miles the equipment was broken. So they had just people and horses. So they put all their food and water on horses, but horses were very tired and very frozen on the snow. So in a couple of days they had to kill poor animals because they couldn't move. So they took all of this food and water on themselves. They were beaten by frost, but they move and keep moving. They almost died and finally they reached the South Pole. But when they reached the South Pole, it was already Norwegian flag there. It's a letter from Amundsen who'd been there 1 month ago.
Yeah.
So just a couple of people in the middle of Antarctica, and they had to come back. They had to make all of this way back home. So, to make this story short, everybody died.
Yeah.
Scott made a big mistake. He didn't plan well. So when I make a fast decision, I remember the story.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I should have some extra time, plan better.
Extreme example.
Everybody died.
In modern life and in corporation, it's not so bad like with Amundsen and Scott, but still you have to plan in advance everything. So it's a story about success and failure. But success teaches you only what you are capable of doing and give you confidence. But from our failure, sometimes terrible like that, we learn greater lessons. We learn about our own assumption, about our errors, about our poor judgment, and also method which didn't work in reality. And I noticed that a lot of people, and somebody believes that they're a leader, they just try to forget about their failure as like a bad experience and concentrate on their success. But if you forget about your past mistakes, you will create mistakes in future. I think all of us are human and we make mistakes. It's normal to make mistakes from time to time. Not 1,000 mistakes in a day, but from time to time, everybody has this risk. So just instead of avoid them, just go home, plan, understand what you learn from them, and try to avoid them and try to teach the other people, your team members, or the other generation to avoid this mistake like we have from Scott's experience. And the last thing I would like to say is that leader is never alone. If leader has success, means he has a team staying behind his back and makes all the same effort and the same thing with leader. And if you don't have followers, of course you are not a leader. You are just a nut man or woman just trying to do some crazy thing. So followers make you a leader. Appreciate your followers and plan ahead. Thank you.